guys, and welcome back to my channel. The case that I'm going to be looking into today is a pretty awful one. I mean, they're all awful, aren't they? Let's face it. But some are more horrific and more shocking than others. And this one shocked me quite a lot. We are going to be talking about Derek Medina and how he murdered his wife, Jennifer Alfonso, and then he posted a photo of that on Facebook for everyone to see, for all of the family, for all of the public, for anyone that saw it to see. And yeah, you heard me right, that is exactly what he did. This case was suggested by Ruby, so thank you for that. I appreciate any suggestions you guys have, and if you of course have any more, please do let me know. Derek Medina was born in 1982. He was born in the Sunshine State. He was this amateur boxer who was apparently undefeated. He also wrote and he acted a few times as well. He thought very highly of himself by all accounts, and he wanted to either become this famous actor or like a famous writer or something like that. Instead, he got famous. He got famous all right, but he got famous for all of the wrong things. For probably the most horrific thing that you can become famous for, becoming a murderer. He wrote classic books such as Humans Who Are Gifted and Can See the Supernatural Spirit Ghost World We Live In, called Ghost Haunted Adventures. Yeah, they were all self-published apparently, and not very good. I haven't read them personally. I don't know why you would put such really long titles on, but that was his style, I guess. Yeah, apparently they're just not very good. But again, I haven't read them. That is not my opinion. That is just the general consensus. So one day he meets Jennifer Alfonso. She was this bright, bubbly, lovely, caring woman. She was so kind. She loved doing normal things, socializing, being out with her friends. She was also a single mother to her young daughter, who was 10 years old at the time of this case happening, called Isabella. And she absolutely adored her daughter. She was waiting tables in South Miami when she met Derek, and obviously it was to support herself and her child. Now, when she met Derek, they hit off straight away. Their relationship blossomed immediately, so much so that within the next month of them meeting, they were married. And I'm not judging it, you know, it's up to anyone who wants to marry someone that quickly. To me, though, just a little bit quick off the mark there. But again, not judging. They would spend a lot of time together, and, you know, seemingly their little family, everything was hunky-dory. They were happy, but despite that, they did have a lot of arguments. Now, obviously, couples argue, they don't get on, and, you know, it's just normal. But they would argue, like, a lot over petty things that even didn't matter. And, I mean, yes, a lot of people do that, but they would often break up as well and then get back together, and, you know, it was like, I don't know, like a toxic, volatile relationship, and they would often break up, but they would always seem to get back together. So as you could probably tell from like the last title of his book, one of his books, Derek was really into the supernatural. And so was Jennifer, so that was a common interest that they shared, you know, and they could explore that together. They would often go on ghost tours around the city together, and he would record them and post them on places like YouTube. Derek even tried to capture like ghostly activity in his own home. He put up this security camera to try and see if he could catch anything. It wasn't ghostly going-ons what this camera actually caught. It did catch something, but let me tell you, it wasn't the supernatural. So the arguments carried on, you know, and one day Derek actually told Jennifer that he wanted a divorce. So Jennifer, you know, she got a daughter, she moved out, she got her own apartment and began anew. She was starting fresh, away from Derek, who wanted her divorce from her, and she was just starting a life again. And then all of a sudden, he starts ringing her up again, trying to convince her to come back, I guess, and they end up getting back together again. But they just fell back into the same old habits. They argued over everything, over nothing. It seemed like they did love each other, but again, it was just really volatile. Derek would become really jealous and say these strange things, so much so that her friends were actually worried, and they would say to her, like, I think he might kill you one day. So to say that your friends are saying that to you, you know, God knows what he was saying. But Jennifer just kind of laughed it off. I don't really think anybody would have thought what was going to happen would happen. Like, you never do though, do you? So on the morning of the 8th of August in 2013, Jennifer had woken up late that morning. Now, she was really, really mad with Derek because He was supposed to get her up early, and he didn't, and so she was fuming. So that was another excuse for another fight. They start arguing, and apparently Jennifer begins throwing things at Derek. She then goes downstairs because she's got to make some pancakes for her little 10-year-old girl who was sitting up in her bedroom. So the CCTV camera that he installed for ghosts captures this. It shows that she's in the kitchen for about 27 minutes, and then Derek comes into the kitchen. At the time, Derek was 31 years old and Jennifer was 27 years old. I haven't mentioned their ages yet, so I just wanted to throw that in there. Bit random, I know, but I think it's like important information in these cases. So Derek enters the kitchen. They carry on their argument and Jennifer begins to hit him on the chest. He then walks away, goes upstairs, gets his gun from his cupboard, his handgun. He takes that back downstairs to the kitchen where Jennifer still is. She sees him holding a gun and she grabs a knife. Now he wrestles with her for that knife. He manages to take it off her and disarm her. He puts the knife back in the drawer and then he holds the gun up against her. He shoots her 8 times, killing her right in the kitchen. Derek then walks out, calm as a cucumber, like nothing had even happened. He goes back upstairs, he replaces his gun back in the cupboard. He goes and tells Isabella to not leave her room, and then he proceeds to go back downstairs where he takes a photo of Jennifer's dead body in the kitchen, and he leaves the house, locking the door behind him, leaving Jennifer's bleeding deceased body with her literal 10-year-old daughter upstairs in a bedroom alone in the house. She was now alone. Minutes later, he goes to upload that photo onto Facebook with the title RIP Jennifer Alfonso. He even put it as public, I believe, so like it could be spread far and wide and everyone could see it, and they did. Like a lot of people saw that post. Can you imagine seeing that on Facebook? You would never think it was real. Like, it's just insane. He just wanted it to gain as much traction as he could, and it did. It was literally seen by so many people. Then he updated his status, basically telling everyone what he'd done. I'm going to prison or death sentence for what I've done to my wife. Love you guys, miss you guys, take care Facebook people. You will see me in the news. My wife was punching me and I'm not going to stand anymore with the abuse. So I did what I did. I hope you understand me. He then went to his aunt's home where he met up with his father, and a few hours after the incident, his father accompanied him to the police station where he handed himself in. The CCTV camera then picks up the police entering the house. They sped over to the house. They find Jennifer's dead body in the kitchen, and Isabella is still upstairs. They put a sheet over her head as they whisk her off out of the home so that she doesn't obviously have to witness the horrific scene. So Derek was interviewed. He confessed to killing Jennifer right there and then, but he claimed that it was self-defense.
This was self-defense. You say that she was throwing things at you. What exactly was it that she was throwing? Towels, mascara, creams, anything she can grab her hand, boxes, anything in the room she could throw at me. I was just ducking. I got hit in the face a few times. Did you sustain any injuries at that point? No. Only when she was pushing me and punching me afterwards when I got upset. That's when I went back and grabbed her.
Derek was arrested and charged with murder. He went to trial, and the trial actually lasted for 2 weeks, in which basically his defense tried to claim that he was this bad husband, he was abused a lot, and that was just him in self-defense. But I'm sorry, somebody punching you is the appropriate response? Go shooting them 8 times? I don't think so. He just tried to claim bad husband, abuse victim, etc. What really swung it for this case though was that he took those pictures and he posted them on Facebook for all to see, which is just so bad. It's so wrong. Critics called the killing a symptom of society obsessed with social media fueled fame. But he said he just did it to let her family know that she was deceased.
Why did you take the photo? So the family would know and be notified and they can rush over there and get my set up.
Yeah, Derek, I'm sure that was really how they wanted to find out that you had just murdered their daughter, by seeing a photograph of her in the kitchen. I just can't even imagine being the mother of Jennifer and seeing that photo. The final nail in his coffin was a taped interview with little 10-year-old Isabella, in which she said that the only person that she was afraid of was Derek, because he was mean to Mummy. And so that's literally straight out of the little girl's mouth, which obviously indicates that he was the abuser and not her. I mean, I get it, like, she probably gave some back. Like, she did punch him in the chest and stuff, but from Isabella's account, you know, he seemed like he was quite abusive towards her. The jury deliberated for 6 hours and then they found him guilty of second-degree murder. Apparently, he has appealed his sentence since. Seriously though, looking into this case really shocks me. How? I just don't understand. He killed her and then he took a picture of her and posted that on social media for all to see. What kind of sick mind does something like that? What kind of sick mind kills someone in the first place, but then publicizes it? Poor Jennifer, life was stolen. She was 27. She had a little girl. She had a whole life ahead of her, and he just tried to make it all look like he was an abuse victim. Now, of course, I don't know what the ins and outs of the relationship was. Maybe she did abuse him, but at the end of the day, does that warrant being shot 8 times and murdered? No, definitely does not. So, yeah, no matter whether he abused her or she abused him, it shouldn't end in murder. It should end in that person getting out of the relationship. And Derek, by all accounts, was the one that kept drawing her back in. So, go figure. Her daughter had her mother stolen away from her literally while she was upstairs. And obviously she's going to hear this story and she's going to know. Like, she was literally upstairs whilst her mother was being murdered. And I just can't even imagine when she realises how she will feel. It's just awful. Jennifer never got to see her daughter grow up. Her daughter never really, well, she knew her for 10 years, but, you know, didn't know her, get to grow up with her and know her after that. And it's just so wrong. And it's just such a heartbreaking, tragic loss of life. But yeah, that is the end of the case. If you enjoyed the video, give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to join the pack. To our regulars, thank you so much. I appreciate you as always. Anyway, guys, that's all I have today on the case of Jennifer Alfonso. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.